But intensified rasa and unlimited exchanges, they are found in Madhurya Ras, and that too Parakya Ras.
But
Not Swakya.
so Ram Sita is Swakya Ras.
Swakya Ras.
Yes.
They were duly married. But they were married with a lot of funfare that turned into miserable situations. It didn't last long. Valmiki Muni took Ram and Lakshman away from Dashrath, who was disheartened that he will be obstructed in his paternal love for Ramchandra. He was very attached. But Vishwamitra Muni was stern in determination. He knew the advent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for a particular purpose to annihilate the miscreants, save the devotees. Here the devotees were the Yagik, those were not fully developed devotees, but they wanted to perform sacrifice and offer all the oblations to please the Yajna Purush, that is Vishnu. That was the means in Tretayam, Yajato Makhai. So, what kind of rasa is obtained through performance of fire sacrifices? Shanta rasa. Nothing else. Awe and reverence, nothing else. But they will be able to fulfill their desires through appearance of Yajna Purush. And the same Yajna Purush was invoked by Dashrath Maharaj asking for Putreshti Yajna, because otherwise he would not have any sons. So, Dashrath Maharaj had to perform the yajna to fulfill his desires. And Lord appeared in the human form as Lord Ramchandra. His majesty was hidden. Alright? Dashrath Maharaj, he was the king who fought for the Devas, achieved a lot of prestige, but he was bereft of sons. So, he had a daughter also.
Yes.
What's the name? Shanta. Right?
Yes.
But he didn't have a son. So, to fulfill the desire of the progeny, Dashrath Maharaj invited the then representative of the Brahmana, who is supposed to be in place of Brahaspati.
Rishasringa.
Indra insulted Brahaspati, so he walked out.
Yeah.
So, who was placed in place of him?
Rishasringa.
Eh?
Rishasringa.
Rishasringa. Rishasringa was the son of Twista.
Twista. Yeah. Twista. Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So they thought if Rishishringa can marry Shanta, then he can be invited and he can do Putrashti Yajna. So that was the whole scheme. To fulfill Dasharatha Maharaj's desire, Rishishringa performed the Putrashti Yajna. And the Yajna Purush came out at the end with bowl of payasam and told, give it to your queen. But he had 3 queens. So, benevolent and excellent character of truthfulness and samaham sarva bhuteshu type of nature, Dasharath was not discriminating from one wife to another. So, senior was Kaushalya, middle was Sumitra, and Kaikeyi was the third one. But he had little more affection towards Kaikeyi because Kaikeyi saved Dasharatha's life. Just last week, Mohajwala asked me, what are the 2 mistakes of Dasharatha Maharaj? Even though he can perform the Putrashti Yajna, what are the 2 mistakes he committed? And I responded to her. First, he should have never taken his wife to the battlefield to fight on behalf of demigods or help him to fight. Because it is not the business of wife to fight. Only the Kshatriya man is fighting. Why the lady has to go? And funny thing is, the lady will be obliging by nature because nobody else dares to go. Kaikeyi was little flamboyant. And she saved Dasharath's life by putting her finger in the pivot of the wheel, which was gotten loose. And if she would not have done that, the wheel will have come out from the chariot and both of them would be killed. So she was witful, fine. She saved the life, but that made Dasharath obligated to her and offered her 2 boons. So that is the second mistake. Service is to be rendered, but you can't pay a remuneration for such service. But in this ideal, dynasty of Ikshvaku, they were followers of Bhagavad Gita. They were followers of the truthful situation. And Ikshvaku himself offered his services to the mankind by tilling the land of Kurukshetra. It is well known for that purpose where Varun Dev and another Devata, Indra and Varun Dev became 2 bulls to till the land. So it has a connotation for ages that this is the land where it will become Dharma Kshetra to execute the real religious principles. And they are benevolent, but these religious principles are binding, not liberating. Liberating was the message of Lord Krishna that was carried down from time immemorial then goes away, again re-establishes. So Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, Evam vivasvate manava proktavahanam abhyayam manava praha ikshvaku abravit. Evam vivasvate manava proktavahanam abhyayam manave ikshvaku abravit. And Ikshvaku was the predation of the Raghu dynasty, right? Ikshvaku's son was somebody, and his son was Raghu. And from Raghu dynasty, the prestige has been coming. And Dasarath was the great-grandson of Raghu dynasty. So they had the best, culture of cultivation that is to be implemented in their lives and become righteous, very. But during that Treta Yuga, but Krishna says, I spoke to sun god millions of years back. Sun god speak to Manu, and Manu speak to his son Ikshvaku. And in this way, evam parampara praptam imam rajarshoyo vidu sakalena mahata yogo nashta parantama. So still that Treta Yuga, and came the end of Dwapar Yuga when Krishna appeared, Dwaparante. And Arjuna is told, I'm telling you the same absolute truth to re-establish the principles of. So yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyathanam dharmasya tadatmanam sujanya. So to uphold the principles of religion, they are very famous. But the sanctity of devotional service was not much predominant in Treta Yuga. It is only in Kali Yuga. Why it was not predominant? In Treta Yuga, it is the fire sacrifice as the most suitable way to offer one's own austere dealings and oblations of very high, what you call, sacrificial things, very high. They were ready to sacrifice so many things. So because the sacrifice was the recipient for their, karma, to make them free at least. But devotional service was not that available. And in Ramchandra's appearance, devotional service is coming out. Through Lakshman, Sita, Hanuman, Bharat, Shatrughna, they were all inclined for devotional service in different moods. Even the paternal affection is very minimal, But fraternal was important. That was exhibited by Bharat, Shatrughna, Lakshman, Hanuman on the servitorship, like that. And in conjugal love, Sita was there, but she also became so restricted. Because to fulfill the desire of her Lord, she was ready to do anything and everything. Ramchandra told her to take shelter of Agni Dev. He is the Supreme Lord. She could have argued, why not you, my Lord? He says, no, I have come in the human form. The absolute truth may come in human-like form, but I have come in human form. So I want to put the limitation of the human being. Even though I may be Supreme Lord, but still we have to show Maryada. So it will be the best to follow for human being. So expressions of the rasa, even in conjugal love, was very limited. Swakiya rasa. We never read any kind of this exchange of love between Ram and Sita. No much description. You don't see. In Valmiki Ramayan, no. Tulsi Ramayan, but also no. Rather, more faithfulness, that is fidelity, was the principle for Sita to exhibit. It is good that she took the shelter according to the dictate of her husband, of Agnidev, and she was well protected. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to South India, there are different descriptions of the Ramayan that were discussed. But some of the Sri Vaishnavites, Ramanuja Sampradaya, they had beautiful explanation of Mayasita. Mayasita. I said, what is Mayasita? Because she was protected by Agnidev, Ravan could not or cannot touch her. So, Agnidev transferred another form of Maya and brought her. And she was totally enveloped and protected by Agnidev in any circumstances. Why Agnidev? Fire of sacrifice is purifying. Fire of sacrifice is purifying. The fire of knowledge, transcendental knowledge, is also very resolving. Jnanagni dagdha karmanam. The science of spiritual knowledge is the real jnana, and one concentrate, it's set up like fire, and all other nitty-gritty, reactions or actions of this material world can be burnt to pieces. That is Jnana Agni. People of devotional fervor, they can only cultivate Jnana Agni. Others cannot. Impersonalists cannot create Jnana Agni. Dakshayani, the daughter of Daksha, married to Lord Shiva. When she became Sati, she had that absolute knowledge and she invoked the fire sacrifice, fire to consume her body. Right? And Sita was well protected even in that. Even at the end of Kurukshetra war, Dhritarashtra could ignite himself in the fire of Jnanagni.
No, you didn't do that.
Yes, he did it. But when he was given a rebuff by Vidur. So all these situations are valid in that period, towards the end of Treta Yuga, beginning of Dwapara Yuga. This tradition of purificatory processes were going on. So when Sita was covered by Agni, Otherwise, she was so powerful, more than Agni even. If she would have raised her eyebrow in front of Ravan, who came, he would have turned into ashes. But to invoke Agni, Sankarshan, Lakshman did a Lakshman Rekha. We say that, oh, you can't cross the Lakshman Rekha, means violating the principles of what you are told not to do. But she was already covered with Agni there. Why should she have a cross even? That is Maya Sita. Maya Sita was not burnt in the crossing of Lakshmana Rekha. So Ravan could kidnap her. You know. And people don't understand what is that transcendental nature, you know, that Sita was still protected and never to be touched by Ravan. So now, when Maya Sita was taken to Ashokavan in Sri Lanka by Ravan, then why did Hanuman go to save Maya Sita?
Yes. That's true.
Just to kill Ravan. Original Sita was well protected. And Lord Ramchandra, during that time, he was daily performing fire sacrifices. Even that is the daily routine. He would do his sadhana just to become an example that daily create fire and put oblations just to please the Supreme Lord. He himself is the Supreme Lord. But he is showing everything in the terms of limitations, Maryada. Alright. Moreover, to bewilder the ordinary people, Sukadeva Goswami also saying in Ramayan chapter of 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that when Ravan took away the Maya Sita, Ramchandra, Lakshman and everybody within their capacity, started lamenting, oh, I told mother not to cross the fire and how come this has happened? Oh my God, big calamity has befallen us, And Ramchandra was also acting like a henpecked husband and crying, hey Sita, where are you? Where are you?
Mm-hmm.
But read the purport of
Prabhupada.
No, Prabhupada quotes Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Yasya prema vasyasya svabhava. The love of Godhead is there, and in expression he subsides all his internal feelings. As if he is a handpecked husband, he is crying out for Sita. I mean, this is all natak. But it is essential that it applies to the human being. And therefore they should be aware. It is said that never take your wife along with you when you go to jungle or go abroad. Yeah. Never take your wife. Chanakya Pandit also said. What? Then your trouble will come. So, she should be always protected. In foreign land, who is going to protect you? And Prabhupada comments, in the childhood she is protected by the father, in young by the husband, and in the old age by the son. She is never left alone. It is also very unusual that when she agreed to accompany Lord Ramchandra, and Ramchandra allowed her. because he wanted to use her in the Leela, participate. But it is so much limited. It is not a Prema Leela.
Yes.
You never hear anything of Prema Leela of Ramchandra. Alright? Even though it is Swakiya, he does not expose it. Rather, he exposes the other side of it. He can't, hearsay about what that washerman was talking to his wife in a rebuking way. Oh, you can go to others' men's house, and do you think, should I accept you back? Ramchandra may do that. Ramchandra may do that, but I am not like him.
Oh my God.
Superlative.
That was the command.
That's in the ninth canto of
Yes,
Srimad
yes,
Bhagavatam.
yes.
Right. So, Ramchandra came, okay, and took that as an excuse to exile Sita when she was pregnant with Lava and Kush. But told Lakshman, take her to Valmiki Muni's ashram. There she gave the birth, and Valmiki Muni raised them, taught them Ramayan. So they were the one appearing in Uttara Ramayan. Now Uttara Ramayan comes, but Purva Ramayan means the Ramayan begins with Ramchandra is listening to his two sons about the story of Ramayan. Right? So like that. I mean, it is intricately woven, but as far as the loving exchanges are concerned, he has not shown. He has not demonstrated. It is so much maryada that people should not imitate. They say, oh, people can imitate Ek Patni Vrat, but there is no Vrat in Kali Yuga. Most of them have extramarital affairs. It's just nothing but like polygamy. Some are professed polygamists, like in the United States. They are Mormons. They are also a religious society. The head priest can marry even a 9-year-old in Mormons. And same thing in Muslims. But you can't comment. They will become fanatic. And they want to behead Nupur Sharma. But the point is, they are man-made religion. They were not God themselves. But here even Lord Ramchandra in Treta Yuga comes and shows so much limitations within his pastimes that it is difficult to decipher unless our predecessor Acharya speaks about it. To act like a handpicked husband, our Acharya, that is Prema Vatsya Svabhava. Prema Vatsya means he is as if obligated by love of his wife, and but the Supreme Lord doesn't have anybody's obligation. He doesn't have anybody's obligation. His energies are supposed to act on behalf of him without even asking. That's what Sita was doing it. Sita was executing her role and fulfilling the desire of her husband. That is the real chastity. She did not go against. And Ramchandra made sure she will be well protected by Agni Dev. So every arrangement was there. But, uh, our mind will be immediately going to other affairs, and because it's a serious business, even Lakshman was joking with Suparnakha before cutting her nose and ears. He was laughing, but he did not laugh. It is a serious matter. The Rakshas should not be tolerated. Chop up immediately. And Lakshman is a serious person. Do you think he can laugh?
No.
He did not laugh at anybody. I was listening to another topic about Urmila. Urmila was wife of Lakshman. And her character has to be, analyzed in this whole Ramayan. She did not accompany her husband. Why? Why?
Someone has to look after the Ram's mother and Lakshman's mother.
No. If she would have accompanied like Sita, her husband Lakshman would not be able to serve him. So she did not want to come as an obstacle in service of her husband. That is more chastity.
Yes.
She was more chaste than Sita.
Urmila.
Yeah. So we have to learn so many things that in the age of sacrifice, that is Treta Yuga, the extent of sacrifice everybody is giving. You can evaluate the Sita sacrifice, you can evaluate Urmila's sacrifice, you can evaluate Bharata's sacrifice, and Shatrughna's sacrifice also. But that is the way to do service. Service and sacrifice go together. Because service is to be offered, and offering is called sacrifice. If service is rendered without offering to Lord Krishna, how will it become a sacrifice? So like that, we have to analyze. These are the important factors that humans can follow to the greatest extent. If they want Ram Rajya, but then they have to learn how to perform these sacrifices. Without that, you can never anticipate Ram Rajya back. As far as Hanuman, Sugriv, Jambavan, all these great heroes are concerned, Ramchandra invested his empowerment in them, therefore they became, But being monkeys, they were trying to think each other, oh, you are the most powerful amongst us, so you can serve. Everybody was pushing Hanuman. Others were elders, so they could not do the feats. Hanuman would be there. And Hanuman got the yogic power, the Ashta Siddhis, Anima, Mahima, Lagima, Prapti, Ishita, Vashita, Prakamya. So many Ashta Siddhis, and he used in service of Krishna, service of Lord Ramchandra. Rest is, the the norm of pativrata nature of Sita, Hanuman could have rescued, right? And there would not be fight. But he can't rescue because Sita seems to be very chaste, can't ride, can't touch others' body. Right? So, even though Ravan touched her, there was no objection because she is Maya Sita. But Ravan tortured the same Maya Sita, and Hanuman also saw same Maya Sita. Gave the exchange of the ring and the kundal during the marriage, and Sita also gave when she was married. Take, my dear Lord will be recognizing this, means I am here. But because Maya Sita is that, these things are also illusory. But for killing Ravan, they have enacted this particular pastimes for bewilderment of Ravan. Bewilderment of Ravan. Otherwise, Ravan was so magical himself. And Ravan got the impression that, mere mortal man, how would it be? Because Ramchandra, even though Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he came in the form of a human being. Krishna did not come in the form of human being. He made himself like human being. Manushim tanum asritam. Manushim tanum asritam. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Manushim, not Manusham. It's Manushim as if of identical to a human body. And Tanu means that kind of body which is spiritual and transcendental. It's not like flesh, blood, but it may look like human beings. And Ashritam, he came in that kind of transcendental body which may be looking as human body. And that can be only recognized by divine vision. So, janma karma cha me divyam evam vetyo tattva. We have to cultivate divinity, and divinity's eyes are always embedded in the heart of our hearts, not in these two eyes. So how to see the things as they are when the Lord appears and performs wonderful activities in different species of life that he can assume the body. Why not in the human form of the body? So he says that Ramadi Murtishu Kalaniyamena Tishtannana Avataram Akarot Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramapumaniyo Govindamadi Purisham Tamaham. So Ramadi Murtishu. Murti means Murta Swarup. Of course, the Treta Yuga longevity was up to 10,000 years. But Ramchandra, managed to rule for 13,000 years. How he left body in Saryu, that is another story. He disappeared in Saryu. After rescuing Sita, the doubt brought Sita to the test through the fire. Why only fire? Sita was already protected in the envelope of the fire. So fire is not going to touch her. Right? But Maya Sita disappeared and true Sita came out. It's Agnidev brought forward. Here is the real one. But Sita was found by Janak Maharaj while tilling the land. So, when she has to disappear, she went into the earth. It doesn't mean that her transcendental body was coming from the earth. No. These are the different medium where even our vision becomes limited. In water it becomes limited. How Ramchandra disappeared through the invisible medium. How Sita also disappeared through invisible medium. Like that. So, to understand the story of the Ramayan, even after hearing so many times the Ramayan Katha, unless and until the secret which is of transcendental devotional service, that has to be revealed. Everybody did in Santarasa. The seva to Ramchandra was in Shantarasa. And Ramchandra reciprocated, in Santarasa. Hanuman was little more distinct, so embracing him, and but they are eternal servants. So servitorship is as the main theme in Ramayana. But every other relationships are also dependent upon the service rendered to the Lord. To perform swakiyaras in conjugal love or parakiyaras in conjugal love with the Lord Krishna, then the difference is in reciprocation and intensity of love expressed. Highest is in parakiyaras, not in swakiyaras. Swakiyaras gets distributed. Krishna has 16,108 wives. Even though the chief of the queens is called Rukmini, but this is Mahalakshmi. But Lakshmi Sahasra Satasam Brahma Sevyamanam Govindam Adi Purusham Tavam Bhajami. Unlimited Lakshmis are there. Satyabhama has a different kind of mood in conjugal loving, and that is also Swakiya. But only the gopis outstanding parakiyaras is to be understood. And why that is highest is the subject matter of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Very good.
So, anybody has any question? What we have to learn through Ramayana is devotional service. There are so many examples, even for the beginning, that even if the monkeys can render service, why not Homo sapiens?
True.
So I need to be inspired. Lord cannot perform pastimes as a human being. But when he comes as a Krishna, he is not a human being. He is in original Swarupa. Mhm. We have to read the books of our predecessor acharyas. They have left so many books to study regularly. So we can be benefited with all this different understanding and mature our understanding as our Guru Parampara is teaching. You know. Any question?
Hare Krishna. How did Maya Sita get that jewelry that she exchanged?
How did Maya Sita?
Get the jewelry, you said that they exchanged the jewelry, kundal and the ring
Ah.
from Ramchandra was given to Maya Sita. And
Do you
she
think
gave-
Maya cannot manufacture identical stuff?
Of course she can.
Then do you think she turned real Sita in Ashok Vatika in Sri Lanka? What is the necessity? Nothing. So even though she was in Sri Lanka, was real Sita was in Sri Lanka?
When she went with
No, she was with Agni there. She was covered up by Agni there. There is no question for her
that
going
was
to
the line you mean which
No, no.
Lakshman had made.
that.
That was later on the
But
fire.
then how come that Maya Sita did not get burned? Ravan attempted and he went away. Because Agni Dev is one of the demigods for fire. And fire, material fire, is one of the Panchamahabhut. Do you think Maya, when she is serving the Supreme, her devotional service would protect, she would not get burnt by the fire. Those who are not serving, or those bodies have not been purified by either jnana or bhakti, they will be consumed in Agni. So we have to also make the pure body by transforming all these metallic substances and every particle of our body should become subservient in service of Krishna. How did Janak Maharaj had the same body and he went back home, back to Godhead?
With same body.
Eh?
Yeah.
What kind of intensified devotional service he must have done? And they appreciate. Before going back home, back to Godhead, Janak Maharaj thought, let me go and see how my godbrother Yamaraj is doing. Okay? So then southern side he was arriving near the door of the gate of the hell, you know. The wind that was touching Janak Maharaj's body entered in the hell, and all the miscreants who were being punished, they found such a relief that it changed the atmosphere of the hell, which is only nothing but punishment and screaming and this and that. But they found so much relief, right? So it was like a miracle and astonishing for both the Yamadutas and the punished entities. Then they found out it is Janak Maharaj, his standing near the door. So those who are suffering, they immediately started praying him, please, please, you are the most benevolent, can you stay for a little longer? But Janak Maharaj was waiting for his friend Yamaraj to come. So they embraced each other, said, how are you? How are you doing in your devotional service? He said, I'm going back home, back to Godhead. But I thought, let me come. Then Yamaraj said, you are the most benevolent person that you want to even give solace to those who are being punished by me. What a magnanimous soul Janak Maharaj would be. So that is the lesson. It's called Janak Videhi. Vigatasya yasya deha iti videha. One who's actually the material body is no longer acting as material, but every atom is spiritual. Otherwise, why your pores of the hair will also resound of Hare Krishna Mahamantra? Arjun's body was almost like that. Remember when he was resting in Dwarka, when he came to see Lord Krishna, and Rukmini and other, they came to see him, fan him, and all the service. But they were astonished to hear the sound of Lord Krishna coming from every pore of Arjuna's skin. That is transcendental sound. All right?
Thank you, Maharaj.
भगवान का कब है?